Welcome to World Gospel Broadcasting Network. I'm Abanda Edwin in this edition of the program. I'm also having as guest Minister Michael, is a student preacher, by my side. We'll be discussing about how the Church of Christ in Cameroon can grow. What can we do to change the face of the church? Generations come, generations go. It is their own turn as young people. What do they think to do different from what we used to see happening within the church? We have cried that for almost from 1971 till now. We have seen relative changes compared to what we would have expected that should have happened in the church. Brother Michael, you are welcome, bro.
Thank you very much.
I mean, when we talk about the Church of Christ in Cameroon, I know that it is your wish that the church should grow. What are some of the things that you think that if they have been done, the church will grow and the church will excel? Because we have problem in this country. We have, number one, infrastructural problem, preachers' dignity in this country, and welfare. These are two essential problems that we are having. What do you think can be done to remedy the situation? Let's begin from infrastructure.
Okay. Concerning infrastructure, the issue is that, first of all, some of us, we love self-centeredness. And when we have this kind of spirit, these are some of the things that will make us to always care about our own self and even forget the work of God. The issue is that we need to start to think about the growth of the church. We need to think about financial support, because everything that is to be done, we need finance. There is no go ahead without finance, and we need to do it sacrificially, because we will not talk. The first thing that we talk is that we have to avoid complaints.
That people complain a lot and unity. And even you see the people who say that the church should grow, they are doing nothing to see the church grow.
We need to avoid complaints, because if it's complaint, you give your own complaint and go your way. I give my own, I go my way. I will say my
and those complaint will not yield us solution.
No way. You see that I will say my hand is aching. You say your head is aching. You say your foot have a complaint. We give numerous complaints and we go our way, and the work will remain the same. But it is high time we need to start being people who are practicing sacrifice. We need to see what the Bible says in Romans chapter 12, beginning from verse 1. Offer yourself as a living sacrifice. It's not a joking matter. The offering there does not mean that you just say, okay, I'm going to church. Okay, I am a preacher. Okay, I am fighting to see the growth of the church. That's not what it means by sacrifice. Sacrifice means you need to invest financially. You need to be present with programs. You need to support.
But somebody may say the preachers have little or nothing to do because they are working for the church. The church should be able to do all of these things. Are you intending that our churches have not well been taught? Somebody told me that it's like our forefathers who started the church in this country around 1971 laid a wrong foundation. They never taught the people to know that they have to work for what they want. They have to sacrifice for what they want. They are always only expecting. Could that be the problem? Because, in those days when missionaries came, they share Bibles, all of those things. To some level, it made them to be lazy, to have not known that they also have a responsibility to carry.
I have observed few things in the Church of Christ that we are failing to do. The preachers, they are failing on one thing. That is, they don't want to educate the congregation about support. Some are even afraid. That's why you see some preachers who go and invite another preacher to come and preach preacher support in their congregation, because they are ashamed. They are afraid to tell the truth. I am telling you, I will never do that kind of thing. I will tell my Christians that preacher support is necessary, and it is in the Bible. It is not a scam. Even if they don't give me, but let me educate them, because I am not educating them that they are the one to sustain my life, because I have things that I can do to sustain myself, but I will educate the people, because they need to know. If we hide anything from them, it is our doom. If we can sustain ourselves, and the moment we leave and other people come in the congregation, that the people are not educated, they will not be able to do it because they don't have the knowledge. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is that the Christians have also failed to support their preachers so that they can sustain the work. They thought that this work is an easy task. It's not easy. If you want that your preacher should be active, you need to support him. Because without support, nothing can move. We are living in a world that without money, nothing will go. So it's not a scam. It's not bad for you to support your preacher so that he will sustain the work. I want to remind you this afternoon that when the head is fine, be rest assured that the whole body will be fine. For instance, you see the reason why mad people behave abnormal is because their head is not fine. It's the same. When the preacher of a congregation is not well supported, does not have grounds, also know that the church will have a problem because he is the one carrying on many responsibilities more than the Christians. So we need to sustain them to high esteem, to a level that they themselves will be able to carry on the great duty that they have. You see, even the Bible.
So what are some of the ways that they can support their preacher? Because some may say, I don't have money. If you don't have money, means there's no other means.
You see, like we need to understand that when we talk about preacher support, it does not mean that we must give him money. Let me tell you something. If you are a farmer, pass around and support your preacher with a bunch of plantain. It will help him. The preacher can even make his decision to go and sell the plantain and use the finance for other things. It is his choice. If you are farming, whatsoever you have, pass and support the preacher. It must not be money. Because let me tell you something. To remove 850 francs and give a preacher, it sounds very uncomfortable. But let me tell you, if you buy a packet of Maggi for 850 francs and pass around and support your preacher, it will be more important. It will even have value more than the money. So the only way to support preacher is not only by money. We can support them by materials. We can support them even by visitations, encouragement, show some concern. Everything is just about support, brothers. Everything you do is just about support. Just go around, let him know that you are there. Encourage him, support him. There are many ways that you can support a preacher.
Yes, we know that in Galatians chapter 6 verse 6, the Bible said that he who is being taught should share all good things with his instructor. And we also read in 1 Corinthians, is it 1 Corinthians chapter 14 or 2 Corinthians chapter 14? Chapter 9, 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 14, that talks about he who is preaching the gospel should live by the gospel. These are some of the scriptures that encourages us to know that we have a responsibility as members of the church. Especially these two scriptures I've quoted, Galatians chapter 6 verse 6 and 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 14, that we have to support the preachers who are preaching the gospel. Let us talk about infrastructural development. Don't you think that cooperation can help us? Because unity is strength. We did talk today about unity. Unity is strength. Don't you see that if we cooperate as a church, it will help us to assist younger or upcoming congregation?
Okay, the first thing I would like to say about this issue is that what? The moment our elder brothers, they arrive the summit, they take away the ladder. And we see that this issue is not a good one. It's as if in the Church of Christ, when we reach the summit, we don't want others to reach. And for that reason, we think that we are building ourselves. We are exalting ourselves. We think that we want to reach the sky. I'm assuring you this afternoon that unity is strength. Just this day, we talk about Moses, that Aaron and Joshua supported Moses when he lifted up the staff for them to fight against the Amalekites. So we see that support, unity is very important in Christian race. One thing we need to know is that when you isolate yourself, maybe because of your financial status, you isolate yourself, you are killing the other people who are coming behind. This race is a kind of race that when you arrive the summit, you need to send your hand and hold the other person who is coming behind you. But sometimes I used to see as if when some people arrive at summit, they exalt themselves, they isolate themselves because they don't want others to be like them. I heard one day that a preacher went to a certain congregation and he wanted to install another preacher there. And he told the congregation that don't mind. This man is being supported by the white man. Don't mind about his support. Don't support him for now. He's being supported by the white man. I want to ask, is this really a right thing? Is this what we're supposed to do? Are we supposed not to educate our congregation to support their preacher?
In other way, they want other people to carry. Was he teaching by the white man? He was teaching the congregation, was working for the congregation, instead of them to stand up to their responsibility. But the preacher who did this was really a terrible preacher. He caused a lot of harm to that congregation. And I bet to tell you that because of that statement, that congregation will die. Because that preacher will not survive. What if the support ends? Is even what the white man is giving him sufficient? So if somebody gives somebody 50,000 and then the congregation will no longer support him, is a preacher's life 50,000 worth 50,000 living? His children, he has to rent a house, he has to eat, send his children to school, he has to clothe himself. All those things. Is it just 50,000 francs per month that will supply him all these things? I mean, you can imagine how far some people have gone. And this man has caused a great harm to our congregation. And if this man leaves, another man comes that is not being supported by the white man, that notion that was in their head that he was being supported by white man will then be in their head. And then when another man comes, they will say, no, we had a preacher who was not even taking us support. You have come, now you are only talking about money. Just imagine the day you want to preach about preacher support. They say you have come, you are not talking about money. The man who was here had no money. Yes, that was a terrible situation. Brother Michael, snappily, your last word as we draw the curtain of this broadcast.
Okay, my encouragement now goes to the preachers. You know, for me, if as I aspire to be a father, what I will do to my children is that, for instance, if I see them, if they are caught in a situation, the highest beating I will give birth to my children, because I want them to better themselves. Because even the other children may not have the discipline that I'm giving my children, because the way I have taught them, the other children are not being taught that way. So my encouragement to the preachers is that what? We should not also depend on the Christians. Look for something doing. Even if they are supporting you, do not depend on the Christians. Look for something doing to help yourself. Because even if the Christian does not care for you, and then your ministry is falling, do not think that on the judgment day God will say that no, because they do not support you, you do not do your work. I'm begging. Look for something doing. As young as I am doing something for myself. I will never wait for somebody to support me, whether white man or who. I will never wait for that. I will do something to support myself, so that even the support or not, I will sustain the work. On the other hand, Christians, support your preachers to sustain the work of God.
Anyway, and we are not against white man supporting. It is a good thing. But you will not take away your own responsibility. Be responsible. Because the preacher is teaching you, is equipping you. And you also have your responsibility, because you give account to God for the work you are doing. So we want to encourage our people that even as we hope that partnership is good, because white men is still partnership. All over the world where the church is one. So if you are in America, support somebody in Cameroon, you are in Europe, you support somebody in Cameroon, you are in Cameroon, you support somebody in Nigeria, it is a good thing. We must work in partnership. But even as you work in your immediate congregation, they should support you. Because tomorrow God will be asking them too, that you take care of your preacher. And those who are supporting are doing so willingly from their heart, because it's a good thing to support. And I think that, like our guests have said, we have a great responsibility. The preacher has to discharge his own function. The church has to discharge their own function on the preacher. While we partner with other people who have challenges and support them, in this way the church will grow. The preachers will be sustained. Infrastructurally, will work together and see that the church grow to the betterment of the community that need the truth and to the glory of God. Thank you very much for being part of this broadcast. We promise you we'll be back again with more. God bless you. and